Hello everyone and welcome back to the Brightworks and another match of Beyond All Reason, where today we're taking a look at probably one of my favorite maps. It's definitely up there in my top 10 list of maps that I always love to play. That being said, it's not necessarily a community favorite though. I know a lot of people despise this map. It is of course going to be today Ascendancy. Yeah, one of those maps. Well, I always point out that the skybox looks all beautiful. Let me just frame that up for just a beautiful shot with the mountains and whatnot in the background. Looks all, I don't know, kind of like a distant world in a sci-fi setting. I love it a ton. Anyways, today, spawning on the southern side, a bit of a weird start there. We'll get into that in a second. Spawning on the southern side here is an Armada commander. It's going to be none other than Fiddler. Fiddler 112 to be precise, who's going to be playing as an Armada commander, which is pretty interesting. Again, for a couple of reasons here, and we'll get into that in just a second. But yeah, Fiddler 112, going to be our blue team leader here, clocking in at 50 open skill, and showing us what they've got on the southern side here. Spawning on a much more traditional position here for our red team leader. It's going to be none other than Random Variable, with a little medallion right there as well. I'm not sure exactly what that one's for. I believe you get these for winning tournaments. You get little decorations for your commander. Random Variable here, wearing a beautiful little medallion for the Cortex commander, and going to be going ahead and, yeah, building some Cortex bots. This is a much more standard build, a much more standard opener here for this map. Fighting down through the hills and valleys of Ascendancy and up towards the enemy here. Wonderful, who's going to be going up against that red commander. Now, for two reasons, this is a bit interesting that the blue commander is down here. One of which, of course, being that typically the best commander tends to either go onto this spot up on the northern side, false prophet there with the little Gundam Goblin, by the way, or they tend to sort of play around here, right? These two spots are kind of the 1v1 lanes, and it's where you can have the most impact on the map, because if you secure this high ground up here, you can put LRPCs, the long-range plasma cannons, up on this hill, and rain down fire on basically the entirety of the map. It's... Here, let me just zoom out for a second. From up on high here, you can reach basically this as the radius of the long-range plasma cannon. So as you can imagine, yeah, 4, 5, 6 of those bases completely siegeable from that cannon. It's a really, really powerful tool. So anyways, that's why usually we see the best of the best contesting this area, because otherwise you can be put in a really bad situation as far as your team goes. The other interesting thing is that this is an Armada commander, and typically if you're playing on the southern side, you're at least considering hovercraft for the fact that there's a bunch of water right here. You need that amphibiosity available. You can go vehicles for that amphibious constructor, which is why we see Fiddler going for vehicles here. But obviously going for hovercrafts is another potential option, and Armada, well, let's just say their hovercrafts don't really bring much inspiration to the table. They're not very creative, they're not very powerful, not like, for instance, the Sumo. Well, it's not the Sumo, what is it called? The Halberd, that's right. The Halberd hover tank, very, very powerful. Oh, no repair micro right there. Looks like Fiddler 112 loses the metal extractor to the tech on the southern side, or the rover, rather. Nicely done right there by our brown commander, Sharkonaut. I like the aggression. I like the scouting right here by Sharkonaut. Discovers that the blue commander and the green commander are going to be on this southern side, so there's a lot of skill to be had right here. Very neat indeed. And yeah, somebody in the chat is pointing out, I'm just noticing here as well, apparently, why so easy, the Cyan commander has also gone into air. So, typically, Dog 1 is open, is in the position that would always go into air play. Typically, you wouldn't have this person playing air. They would be going for a tech roll, basically. The standard sort of, you know, go for a T1 bot lab, get some constructors, some energy production, sack your comm, and have a T2 lab up around the 6-minute mark. Apparently, not going to be the case here today, as it looks like we're going to have two commanders right here going into air. That's interesting. It definitely means that you're going to have a stark advantage, at least for a little while, using those, using those airplanes to clear out your airspace, and then eventually using them to overwhelm the enemy and take control of certain parts of the map. It can be very, very powerful. We have an air commander here as well. What on earth is going on in this game? Okay. So apparently this commander in the back, XMF, has decided not to go into air, instead going to go into a little bit of eco-greed, going for some of those E-converters, some wind turbines, all that good stuff. Wind speed quite good on this map. And apparently the yellow commander is going to be the one going into air. What on earth is happening here? Diverging from the standards basically across the board right now. I don't hate it. It's how new metas are formed, and it's how new strategies are discovered. Mining up precious strategies and using them to your own purposes here. Wonderful. Pushing forward right now. Nicely done. I love to see that. These ticks being very annoying. It only takes a couple of these ticks breaking through to the backline to cause huge amounts of damage, so it's always good to see we're probing around with the ticks, trying to find an opportunity to move them forward. We do have plenty of grunts in the midsection to absorb this blow, but those incisors can be real dangerous, man. Eventually they will be deflected here. There's enough grunts, I think, to take these down, but at least for the time being, This battlefield is going to be really important, right? Whoever locks this down gets a boost of 6 metal per second to the economy, but also all of the beautiful wreckage and reclaim here available in the midsection of the map. It's also a strategic wonder point because you have all this area that you can fire away with the plasma cannon. Putting a plasma cannon back here means you can fire away onto this front line. You can also fire down onto this front line. That's Chisato, by the way, Yanami. One of the best, if not the best, beyond all reason 1v1 commander in the game currently. Spawning right here is the orange commander. Skag here moving forward with the yellow comm as well. What an interesting game we have lined up here. Not standard whatsoever, but sometimes that ends up working out better than you could expect. Sivin here. Dancing around with those pawns. Yeah, fires away the twin cannon missile launcher right there of the Janus. Absorbs one of those missiles, but manages to dodge the other. Nicely done right there by Sivin. We have the blue commander Fiddler, by the way, getting into the water and claiming these metal extractors. Not bad, of course, but also powerful because you can sneak units up onto the high ground. Once you've locked this down, once you know that this area is clear, yeah, you can really suddenly start to do tons and tons of damage with a bunch of run-bys that go undetected. Now, I did take a look at the replay file for this this match here, and it was actually fairly small. It's a relatively small replay. It was a relatively short game, so I'm very curious what the play is going to be here. We have tons of fighters built up right now. Usually that means we're going for some kind of a bombing run. Radar, 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 radar. The, the hot pink commander has gone ahead and gone for quite a nice frontline defense here. We've got a couple of these maces dancing around on the high ground here for False Prophet, who's taken tons and tons of damage on that commander. We do have them dancing around right now. We have riot tanks coming out now as well, anti-swarm tanks. And we have quite a big defense set up over here as well. LLTs, HLTs, we even have a vehicle lab pumping out units here. I think 1-pounder is probably sufficient. I think going straight into those Wolverines would probably suffice just to get some of that siege power up and over this hillside, raining down on top of the enemy units right here for the Green Commander. False Prophet trying to set up a little base back here, trying to eco-greed as well in the backline. We have tons of constructors building wind turbines, E-converters, all sorts of stuff in the back. I like this. I think this is probably a solid play right here, just continuing to eco-greed as much as possible, making sure to scale that economy, even if it means your front line is a little bit weaker. No metal extractor bonus, right, for being right here, so basically these are two even commanders. Little ping back here, not sure exactly what we're looking for. Planning a bombing run, perhaps, or planning a run-by attempt. Here we go. This is what I was waiting for. Yeah, Fiddler 112 pops up in the back line. Now the Brown Commander Sharkonaut says, wait a second, gotta pull some forces backwards. Fiddler now discovering an opportunity to take down a whole bunch of metal extractors just using the good old-fashioned commander. And there we go, lasering down those mexes here quite nicely. We do also have reinforcing forces being pulled to the front here. Nice micro on those. The Brown Commander is paying attention. That's good to see. Sivan, by the way, looks like he killed the Brown Comm over here, so that's a nice little boost to the metal economy, and Fiddler 1112 disappears into the night like the Batman. Here comes the bombers. Here comes the bombers, ladies and gentlemen. Big old fighter clash right here, but the fighter wave for the red team clashes against the bombers. The bombers absorb the majority of the blow. Means that the defensive fighters right here from the blue team actually get a beautiful engagement. Nice bombing run right there. Collides with the frontline bot lab here for the red commander. Random variable. Now that build power is not being used. We need to start another bot lab immediately to keep reinforcements up and running. Still those fighters guarding and escorting this plane right here, shooting down enemy bombers that they discover as well. Nicely done. It's defense and offense in the same blow. The air player knocked out of the game right here despite them being in an inopportune position, or at least in a subnormal position. An abnormal position, that's what it's called. And bombs away. There they go. Taking down as many of these wind turbines, build powers, all the rest of it as possible. Construction towers popping. A functionally devastating bombing run. Hey, ticks into the back line as well. Looks like a couple of them broke through from Wonderful. Popped the E-converters. Now the base over here is in a load of trouble. Bombers going in for the kill here on the Maroon Commander's production facility. They're being halted largely by that construction power, which is yeah, stabilizing this quite nicely here. Will it be brought down? The bombers having to take the long way around. Because they have to go up onto the high ground here, they're really struggling to take all this out, but there we go. Finally taking out some of the wind turbines and other stuff around here. I feel like targeting down the build power, yeah, there we go. Maybe the better option at this point. One anti-air tower has been set up here, but it is not enough to stop all this. There we go. The bombers finally changing their targeting action here so that they're taking out the build power that was sustaining this base, and they have free reign now to continue devastating that front line. Fiddler 112 moving forward right here and establishing a nice healthy front line. Yeah, we've got the pink commander was also eaten up, devoured by the blue team, who has helped push forward right now. We have Quakers out on the field right now for Yanami, who's gone into a T2 vehicle lab on the front line. A very aggressive T2 vehicle lab right now. Ooh, those pawns doing a ton of damage. Boom goes the orange commander. Nicely done right there. Just a handful of pawns from 7 managed to take down the comm right there on the front, doing tons of damage to the orange commander, and now the T2 con needs to start moving back and upping that economy, because otherwise this is going to be a desperate situation right here. Bomb here soon, cries out the Cyan commander, and I like that play a lot. Taking down the first T2 labs obviously has way more of an effect than anything else. A couple of pawns right here. Trying to be microed around, trying to survive the onslaught. We have T2 vehicles out for the blue team as well. We have gunships moving into the backline. Oh no. Good old-fashioned Banshee gunships making their way across the map and doing, well, the most that they can to try and shut down everything over here. Constructors putting together anti-air towers, but they will be shut down. Yep, those Banshees have just enough firepower to shut down, well, light targets, I would say. Constructors, E-converters, wind turbines, metal extractors, all those very highly explosive, very sensitive objects in the backline that are so delicate to protect. This is phenomenal. The perfect use case for Banshees, knowing that the air player was taken out of the match right here. These Banshees have free reign to just do whatever they want. There's no build power here to sustain any actual anti-air, so this is perfect. T2 lab up and running on the high ground right here for the hot pink commander, going to go into, well, as much as possible. The geothermal up and running will stabilize the energy production at the very least, but definitely hurts to lose all those wind turbines. At least a couple hundred energy production in those wind turbines, all shot down right here. Or we're gonna E-storage. That's annoying. Losing your E-storage too, also a huge problem. Yep, there it goes. Nicely done. It's rare that I compliment the Banshee, but when it does happen, they look absolutely unstoppable. And this is definitely one such case. Is there a scout plane hiding? Oh yeah, there sure is. Scout plane hiding in the crevasse over here. Not bad. I'll adjust my cameras back. Yeah, this is starting to look pretty good on the front for the blue team. We have the lightning tanks out already. We have the bulls firing away here as well, trying to kill whatever they can. The T1 unit's going to melt immediately as those bulls start to fire away. They do a huge sum of damage. Quaker's doing a good job, though, of blasting away from a distance. The Quaker fires a big powerful AoE artillery shell. Kind of one big burst, sort of the Cortex staple. And I would say, well, you know what? Armada has some pretty bursty units as well, actually. I'm thinking about it. Yeah, maybe that's Armada's thing, actually, now that I'm really giving it a second thought. They've got the Sharpshooter, the Starlight. Cortex has a few of those options, like the Banisher, for instance, but they've actually got a lot more units that are beefy enough to sustain the little damage that they do. Kind of interesting the way that is shaped up. I wonder if we're going to see that change as well as Legion comes into its own and becomes sort of its own more fully fledged vision. Already with a beautiful stylistic design. I'm curious to see how the balancing of this game is going to change, whether stylistically we're going to see different weapon types assigned to each of these different factions, or how those different weapons are going to interact. It should be cool. If you're joining the Beyond a Reason community now, if you're a newer member, welcome aboard, because I think this is an excellent time to begin. Don't forget to like and subscribe too. Haha! The old YouTuber classic. Nice bombing run right there. Takes out the T2 lab and also manages to kill a whole bunch of the economy, opening up the lines right here for the blue team to run by, and this is a gigantic advantage. Suddenly, the brown commander has collapsed on the southern side. Fiddler 112 not hesitating even a second to get those T2 mexes up and running on the front lines here, pumping out more and more resource and sending them back to that blue economy, as many and as quickly as possible. Bombers, again, coming in, and my goodness, that's a lot of E-stores right there for Chisato. The orange commander with a whopping 9 energy storages? Does Chisato know something that we don't? I'm not entirely sure why so many E-storages. I guess really eager to never run out of energy. As you step your way up to T2, that energy can come in really handy, just helping you jumpstart that economy by either getting that first couple of T2 mexes up and running without stalling out your wind turbine production, or getting a couple of those expensive T2 units on the field a little quicker. Either way, it's very useful, but 9? I'm not sure. 30, I believe it was 35,000 energy production. Big old spybot connection. Oh, there it is. Hey, nice connection right there. Yeah, the tank commander managing to pull back a little bit here on the front. The rocket spiders now reaching out with their long-range self-propelled rockets, firing towards the enemy lines right here, disassembling any of these units that are standing still. Making very good use case of those spy bots right here. It's one of those tricky things about armadas that a lot of their units rely heavily on using them in the right context here, but it looks like, at least in this game, it's not going to matter. The red team throws in the towel after overwhelming bombing aggression from dual air players after a beautiful hold on the southern side and some brilliant strategic maneuvers. It's going to be our blue team that manages to take victory in today's match of Beyond All Reason. What a back and forth at each other's throat type of game right here. These high-level pros, always exciting to watch play. So let me know what you thought about it down below in the comment section, and I hope to see you all in the very next game of Beyond All Reason. Peace out, everybody, and have a lovely rest of your day.